Okay, in my previous video, I hit a wrong button. I apologize for that. I'm going to continue with this part two of why it's important to know that Israel is the servant, the suffering servant of God. Okay, so anyway, Psalm 83. So let me go back for people who's just watching. Uh, so Psalm 83 tells what they did to the Israelites. Black people are the true children of God. The race known as Negroes, the African Americans, the people who's suffering in prisons, who fill up the prisons, the majority of them. Many times the poorest of the poor, the people who are being unalived by people who should be protected, is the ones you see over and over and over that it keeps happening to. The man who was unalived by somebody who knelt on his neck for 9 minutes, he was one of the suffering servants of God, the children of Israel. That is the truth. And so we need to know that the suffering servant, and that also Israel is the firstborn son of God, also, not Jesus. We need to know who that the suffering servant is right here on earth, right now. So let's start at Psalm 83 again. God, don't keep silent. Don't keep silent, and don't be still, God. For behold, your enemies are stirred up. Those who hate you have lifted up their heads. They conspire with cunning against your people. They plot against your cherished ones. Come, they say, let's destroy them as a nation. Now listen to what they said. Now, this is what's happened to our people. Our history has been erased to the point where we didn't even know who we are. We didn't know, we haven't known, most of us, not all of us, but most of our people worldwide have not known that we are the children of God. We're the children of Israel. Listen to what they did. They conspire with cunning against your people. They plot against your cherished ones. Come, they say, let's destroy them as a nation, that the name of Israel may be remembered no more. Did they not do that? Did you know that the people who sent us into slavery first were the people who've stolen our identity now? Yes. What's the best way to get rid of somebody? Send them into slavery, profit off of them, and then erase their history. They're gone. People won't think they're anybody. They don't know. Cover up the history. Because they say these slaves, they can't be the children of God. There's no way. These people, no. We're still here. And that's why it's important to know that the people that those things happen to are the suffering servant. The servant is here on earth right now, not somewhere up in the heavens, not somewhere that's going to come in the clouds like Christianity has lied to us about. The firstborn son of God is not in heaven in the clouds. We also need to know that the firstborn son of God is Israel also. I've done videos about that. I did one and I did two about the suffering servant. So go back and look. I welcome you. It will be very beneficial. So so that's what's happened. That's why we haven't known who we are. And most people, and even today. But the truth has gotten out very much so. We have Jewish rabbis telling the truth about this. We have European preachers and so many people of different races who's coming out and saying that, hey, these people, the African Americans, the descendants of the slave trade, the Africans who are the race of Negroes, they are the true children of Israel. They are the children of God. They're black. They were never white. So let's look here. It says that Edom, the Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagrites, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistia, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Syria has also joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot. So right there, Midian is involved. It says, do to them as you did to Midian, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the river Kashan, who perished at Endor, who became dung for the earth. And so you realize that these are a group of people. It says, make their nobles like or Rib and Zeb. Yes, all their princes like Zebah and Zalmunna, who said, let's take possession of God's pasture lands. And people who have done that have been punished for that. And they're going to be punished again for doing it again. That's what people have done. Listen, this is not something that is going to happen in the future or we don't know. This is something that has happened. And the people who were filling up the prisons, the vast majority of the people are the suffering servant. The people who's somebody who should be protecting them just walks in and shoots them. Some people who's got their necks kneeled on for 9 minutes. People who's just laying in bed and people just start shooting and have no regard for their life. Listen, they are the children. They are the servant of God. They are the servant, the suffering servant of Yahweh. They were suffering uh, in biblical times when that was written, and our people have been suffering now, and the nations have covered it up. So when you think about this, this is not a small cover up. This cover up involves the Christianity, the churches. The cover up involves Judaism and the people, the practitioners of that. It involves people who make books for education, makes our school books, the people who make encyclopedias and dictionaries, the people who write history books, the people who who draw the pictures in them. In all the nations, whether they speaking or not speaking in some way, they have talked about it. They have covered up our history of who we are by working together. Vast numbers of people, governments too. Don't you believe for a second that the elite people do not know who you are? They do know, but they can't tell it because they know if they tell it, it will open up a can of worms. They they know if they tell it, it's going to cause a big trouble. So they have to ignore it and keep going with the falsehoods that have already been going and hope that it blows over. It's not anything to do with honesty or anything like that. It's just that they gonna people, the suffering servant. It's the people in who people may call in the hood the suffering servant, the firstborn son of God, the son of God. It's not some guy coming back in the clouds people been waiting on. The son of God, the servant of God, Yahweh, are the people who you say, look why those guys have their pants hanging down. Why they can them young folks have their pants hanging down? It's people who you never believe, people who are going against each other in Chicago and other places. It's people, who you see in Africa, war torn countries. People just with so much chaos, you know. And so it's people who have descended from slavery in oppression. It's the people who you saw, the servant of God, the suffering servant, or the people who you saw getting sprayed with water hoses and just for asking for civil rights, just for asking to be treated with humanity, just for asking to be treated better, as to be treated civilly like human beings. And they were beaten for it. They were sprayed. They were maced, tear gas. They had dogs were sicked on them. They had riot guns and M14s and all kinds of other stuff. And they were jailed, beaten severely, sprayed with water hoses, high-powered fire hoses. Well, those are the suffering servant, not Jesus. And until people know that, they're not going to know the truth. The people who people never thought ever could ever be the children of God are the children of God. How many people who never heard that? It sounded crazy to me when I first heard it. I couldn't believe it at first until I kept looking and digging. And then when I saw the evidence, when I really looked, I was shocked. I was surprised to find out that it's the truth. So listen. So now let me finish reading. It says to the people who said, let's take possession of God's pasture lands. My God, make them like tumbleweed, like chaff before the wind, as the fire that burns in the forest, as the flame that sets the mountains on fire. So pursue them with your tempest, so terrify them with your storm. Fill their faces with confusion, that you may seek your name, that they may seek your name, Yahweh. Let them be disappointed and dismayed forever. Yes, let them be confounded and perish, that they may know that you alone, whose name is Yahweh, are the Most High over all the earth. Yahweh is the Most High over all the earth. One day people's going to find out. It's not the people who people thought was somebody. This person is somebody, this person isn't. These people are somebody because they have money. These poor people aren't. These people are this color, so they're somebody. And these people are this color, so they're nobody. No, no, no. It doesn't work that way. And you see this is what the whole holy scriptures are about, the redemption of Israel, bringing us back from the lands where we've been scattered. The suffering servant who people despised. The suffering servant had nothing of beauty that people would draw them to the suffering servant. The suffering servant would be beaten and ostracized and mistreated and all these things and persecuted. That's what's happened to our people. And you go back in history, it was our people in Jerusalem. It was our people who were there in 70 AD when the Romans sacked Jerusalem. It's us people, the Israelites of the Bible. Let me get it. Let me go into this right fast. So this is why it's important to know who the servant, the suffering servant, really is. Some people say, "Why does it matter?" You know, it doesn't matter, because everybody just no, we're not. No, we're not. If it didn't matter, and we're all the same, let me ask you something. If it really didn't matter, why would people go through so much trouble to make our people forget who we are if it didn't matter? Why would they do that if it didn't matter? They did it because it does matter. This book here is called The Hebrew Heritage of Black Africa, written by Stephen Jacobs, who is a European Jew. Let me read the back of it. It says, brief history, a black history book, The Hebrew Heritage of Black Africa. The Hebrews, Israelites of biblical times. Who and where are their descendants today? Stephen S. Jacobs, a European Jew and historian, tells it like it was. In this documentary, which proves conclusively that most people of African descent living in America and other parts of the Western Hemisphere as a result of the African slave trade are offspring of the ancient Israelites. Did you hear that? The people who were sent into the Western Hemisphere as a result of the African slave trade are offspring of the ancient Israelites. We're the Israelites. So let me go to okay. Now let me go to this part here while I have time. The foreword. Stephen S. Jacobs, a European Jew, has beyond the shadow of a doubt fully documented in this book the Hebrew heritage of Black Africa, that the Hebrews, Israelites, Jews of biblical time were of the black race and lived on the African and Asian Middle East region continents of the world. And so now go down to paragraph 3. This book is a must read for people of all races and belief systems, for it satisfies the need to dispel the lies which have enveloped the minds of the masses into believing that white European Jews are the original people of the book and the chosen people of God expressed throughout the Bible. More and more white Jews, especially the older ones, are acknowledging in secret to those who already know that the original Jews were black. So, right there, I'm going to stop there. It's you people, African Americans, descendants of slavery, all the places where we are and where we'll be when Yahweh comes to get us. You are the suffering servant. You're the servant of God. You are the firstborn son of God. He chose you out of all the nations. Peace and blessings to you.